What's going on, guys? It is yo boy Runnerman15, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to mod a 3DS, a 2DS, a 2DS again. These are all the consoles I got right here. Okay, I'm going to be showing you guys how to mod every single model of the 2DS or 3DS, including the new models, because they can all use the same exact modding process. And I'm going to be just demonstrating this on this very gorgeous 2DS XL right here that I had sent in. Shout out D-Town on Instagram for allowing me to work on your console. If you guys want your console modded, hit me up on my Instagram. We can work something out. But I wanted to make a video today because this process is actually very simple. So if you have the technical know-how, if you have a computer, if you have all the right equipment, you can mod one of these things pretty easily and do it yourself. So like I said, we're gonna be using this very beautiful Pokeball edition Nintendo 2DS XL with the original stylus, which is funny because I don't got my original stylus. This is like a DS Lite stylus. Alright, so what do you need to actually mod one of these bad boys? Well, obviously you're gonna need the console. That's a no-brainer. You're also going to need either, if it's a new 2DS XL or a new 3DS / new 3DS XL, you're going to only need the micro SD because these don't have an SD card. They just have the micro SD card slot. Or if you're modding one of these old 3DSs or old 3DS XLs, they take SD cards. So if I open this thing up, if you want to know the difference between an SD card, this is a very grungy SD card, and this little bad boy right there, that is a micro SD card. So if you wanted to know the difference, that is the difference between the two. So if you're going to be modding one of these old consoles, I would recommend picking up one of these Gigastone 64 gig micro SDs with the adapter, because it makes it a lot easier. Or if you're modding one of these bad boys, all you need is the micro SD. You don't need anything else. Other than the micro SD card, you're also going to need something to read the micro SD card. This is I think it's the Uni micro SD and SD card reader. This has a USB-C end right here and a USB-A end right here, so you can plug it into both like a MacBook with like USB-C ports, or like an Android phone, or you can also just plug it into any normal computer. So you're going to need one of these, or if your laptop has an SD card slot, that'll also work. And then obviously you're going to need a computer or an Android phone. Now you can do this on Android. I'm not going to be showing you how to do this on Android. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this on a Windows computer. The process for Android, I'm pretty sure, is different. So just keep that in mind. For this guide, use a computer. You can either use a MacBook or an iMac, something using Mac OS. You can use a Windows computer, or you can use Linux. Specifically for this guide, I will be using Windows. If you guys need help with the Mac OS version, let me know down in the comments below and I can help you, because I've also done this on Mac. Linux is the only operating system where I've never actually modded one of these on, but I'm pretty sure the process is pretty much the same for every single platform. Without further ado, this is all you need. You don't need anything else other than that. Also, if you guys want to pick up a 5-pack of one of these micro SD cards with the SD card adapters, and if you want to pick up this micro SD card reader, there'll be links in the description below. They are Amazon affiliate links. If you buy them through those links, they will actually support me. I'll get a couple cents per every purchase. So if you guys wanted to support me, use the links down in the description below. If you guys don't want to support me, then search up Uni micro SD card reader on Amazon. This one was like $8. And then a 5-pack of these is like $50, so definitely not bad. All right, so as long as you have these 4 things, console, card, reader, and a PC, we can actually get started. Now, you're gonna wanna head to the first link in the description below. This is going to be the guide that I'm basing the video off of. This is a guide to install the MSET9 exploit on your 3DS or 2DS. Now, I'm using the MSET9 exploit because it's fairly simple and it'll work on every one of these consoles on the latest firmware. So you don't have to worry about breaking or not being able to homebrew if you're on the latest 3DS version. If you're on the latest version, you can use the MSET9. There are other exploits out there. I'm not going to be covering those. I'm only going to be covering MSET9 because this is the one that I'm most familiar with. It's also fairly simple. If you prefer a different method, you can use this website. This website has a lot of different methods that you can use. I am simply providing a link to the method that I'm using, but if you guys want to follow along a different link, I'd recommend clicking off of this video and choosing one of the methods on that website. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to have to format this micro SD card. Now, SD card sizes, let's talk about that. These have to be formatted to FAT32 in order to work within this console. So anything past 32 gigs can't be formatted to it can't be formatted to FAT32 unless you use some kind of external tool, at least on Windows. If you're on Mac OS, it is very easy to format these to FAT32 regardless of the size. You can do it without installing any other software, but on a Windows PC, you will need another piece of software, which this is where the second link comes into play. We're going to need GUI format. So you're going to need this software. This software is very useful for formatting pretty much all different types of drives. And we're just going to be using it for this microSD. So once you've downloaded and installed GUI format, go ahead and grab your microSD card, grab your reader, and plug the reader into your computer. Now, real quick, I want to mention, if you're using the same micro SD card that is already in your console, that already has all of your like console files and stuff on it, make sure you back up the micro SD first before you format it, because when you format the micro SD card, it is going to delete everything on the actual card itself. So if you're using the same exact micro SD card, make sure you transfer all of those files over to a folder on your computer, and then transfer them back after you formatted the micro SD card. If you're using a new micro SD card, go ahead and just transfer all of the files from your old micro SD card to the new micro SD card after you format the new micro SD card to FAT32. Alright, so once you've inserted your micro SD card or SD card into your computer, it should show up as something like micro SD or something. I have this one named to blank just for the sake of the video. So if you want to check the format, usually they come in exFAT right here. This is not going to work inside the console. So the first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to open GUI format. So navigate to wherever you put the GUI format exe. I'm pretty sure you don't have to install it. You just have to download the exe. Okay, open. It's going to ask for administrative. Just go ahead and click yes. And then we're met with this. So GUI format by default is formatting this to FAT32. This is what we want. So make sure in the drive space right here, you want to select whatever drive letter corresponds with your microSD/SD card. Mine is H. And then you're going to want to set the allocation size to 32 kilobytes, so 32768. Make sure you set it to that. And then for volume label, I'm going to name this 3DS just to keep it simple. You can name this to whatever you want, doesn't matter. And make sure quick format is checked. Click start. Okay. And just keep in mind, if there is something on this micro SD card for whatever reason, it will be deleted if you format it. But that's okay because this thing was already blank either way. Alright, so now this thing is formatted to FAT32. That is all you have to do. Right-click Properties, FAT32, 64 gigs, it's all good to go. Now, after you've formatted this thing, go ahead and eject it from your computer. Alrighty, so once you're done formatting the new micro SD card, make sure this is the new one or whatever one that you're going to use to mod. If you have one in your console already, you're going to want to transfer this data over. Now, if you are using the same micro SD that came with your console, which if you're going to load games and stuff up, usually these consoles came with like a 4 gig or a 2 gig or something. I wouldn't recommend that. I'd recommend getting at least like a 32 gig because a 32 gig should be able to hold a decent amount of games. But 64 gig is pretty good as well. You can hold a bunch of games with this, so obviously double the storage, right? Alrighty, so once it's all transferred over, we should be good to go. Now we can actually start the actual modding process. First though, before we start the modding process, if you transferred everything over to a new micro SD card, go ahead and insert the new micro SD card back into the console just to make sure that everything is working and make sure that it recognizes all your data. You still have all your apps and your theme and stuff. If you're using the same exact micro SD card and you didn't format it because it should already be formatted to FAT32 either way, you should be fine. But if you did format your old micro SD card, go ahead and insert it in the console so it can create necessary data, and then go ahead and take it back out and we can start the modding process. All right, so you can see the console is working just fine. All right, well, now that the micro SD card actually works on the console, we can check the version that this console is currently running on. So after your micro SD card, after you've tested that it works, you're going to want to make sure that your console is on the latest version. As you can see, this dude's console is on the latest version. But if you, for some reason, do not want your console on the latest version for whatever reason, you can go to the website, like I said, that I'll leave in the link in the description. There is a little window where you can put in your version number as well as what console you have, and it'll give you the best exploit for whatever console/version that you're using. But for the sake of this video, make sure you update your console to the latest version because we're going to be using the MSET9 exploit, and it'll work on the latest version either way. And really, there's no real reason for not updating these things, so we're going to leave this updated. Close out of that. Now we can actually start the actual modding process. Alrighty, so we're going to be, like I said, we're using the MSET9 exploit. Like I said, I'll leave a link directly to this page right here, but if you guys want to go to the main page, just put in 3ds.hacks.guide in your web browser of choice, and it'll take you straight to the main page. So now we're on this screen. You're going to need the latest release of MSET9, which I won't leave this in the link in the description. I encourage you to go to this website and download it from here. So we're going to need this. This is going to pop up in a GitHub page. You just want to click this right here. It's going to download a little zip file. All right, and drag that to your desktop, okay? All right, and now you're going to need any version of Python 3 or later installed on your computer. So any version of Python 3 you'll need on your computer, as it says right here, if you're on Windows, Python from the Microsoft Store cannot be used. And we're going to click on this link. All right, so you can see this is the latest version of Python for Windows. We're just going to click this. We're going to open the exe. All right, it's going to give you this window. So you can customize this installation. You can install it. There are some extra options down here. I'm just going to simply click install now. This is just going to install Python to whatever drive that you chose. The default drive is going to be whatever Windows is installed on. For macOS, this process is also very similar. Like I said, if you guys need help with the macOS side, comment it down in the description. Comment it in the comments below, and I'll help you guys out there. All right, so after you've downloaded and installed Python, we can actually continue with these steps. Go ahead and navigate over to the micro SD card. So I don't have it inserted in the computer. So after you put it in your computer, you're going to want to open this zip file that says MSET9. You're going to want to copy and paste all of this over to your SD card. So I'm just going to drag and drop it like so. You can press Control C, or you can press this little button right here. And if it says to replace anything, press yes. It shouldn't though, because yeah, you shouldn't have any of these on your SD card if it's not modded. All right, after that, there are a couple of things that you can do here. You can either click the macOS.command if you're on an iMac, or if you're on Windows, we're going to click the windows.bat. And I'm pretty sure for Linux, it is the Python 3 MSET9.py. So since we're on Windows, I'm going to double click this bat file, and we're going to get this little window right here. So it's going to ask you for what your console is. So since we are running on the latest firmware version, and we're on a new 2DS XL, I'm going to put in 2. If you're on an old 2DS or an old 3DS on the latest firmware, press 1. These are for different versions, and like I said, I would recommend upgrading your console to the latest firmware, so you probably shouldn't be pressing these buttons. So you're gonna have to do this every single time that you run the script, and we're gonna be running this script quite a bit. So I'm gonna put 2 for the console. All right, and it's going to say current MSET state ID1 not created, and it's going to tell you to type in a number and hit return. So go ahead and put 1 on your keyboard and press enter. This is going to create the MSET9 ID1, and it's going to say this process will temporarily reset all of your 3DS data. All of your applications and themes will disappear. So like I said, this is perfectly normal. If everything goes right, it will reappear at the end of the process. It also says, in any case, highly recommend to make a backup of your SD card's contents, which we did right here. So go ahead and press 1 again to confirm. All right, and it might not run as fast for you. I did this on my MacBook Pro, and it was very slow. This is actually going very quick. So it's going to tell you that the ID1 has been created, and we're going to press enter to exit the script. Alright, so after you've run that script and after you've created the ID1, you can go ahead and eject this from your computer. We're going to want to put this back into the console. Alright, so after you've loaded up onto your console, you're going to want to go to the Me Maker right here. You see Me Maker. You're going to want to open this. Alright, so it should say this: creating extra data, do not remove SD card. If it doesn't say this, go refer to the guide that I leave a link to in the description below. They give you a bunch of troubleshooting stuff that you can do in case you get an error. I get an error on the older 3DS consoles when trying to mod them, usually because there'll be a thing called an IDO, and usually there'll be multiple of them. You're only supposed to have one. If you guys want to know how to fix that, plus a bunch of other errors, refer to the website. They have a troubleshooting section. It should walk you through probably 99% of the issues that you might have, but in my case, 90% of the time I don't run into any issues, so that's fine. So after it says SD card data successfully completed, you're going to want to press the home button, and you're going to want to close this. Close. So I'll also say this, so don't worry about that. That's fine. Close. Thank you. All right, now we're going to go to the system settings. You can either launch the app right here, or you can click the little home icon in the top left and scroll all the way down to the little wrench symbol. All right, so once you're in this page, you're going to want to go to data management, Nintendo 3DS, software, and it's going to say micro SD card software management information is corrupted. Go ahead and press reset. Don't worry, all of your save data will be fine. We'll restore it at a later date. All right, so after it says reset complete, you can press OK, and then we can power off the console like so. So you can press hold the power button. It'll automatically close the settings app, and then you're going to want to press power off. And we're going to put this back into our computer, and then we're going to run that script, that same script again. All right, so now we're back on the computer. As you can see, it looks the same. You're going to want to run this again. Hit the number for your console and your version number. All right, it says current MSET state ready. All right, so you want to make sure this says ready. If it says not ready, check MSET9 status. Refer to the guide, it'll tell you how to fix that, but you should just see ready. Now we're going to go ahead and press 0 to exit out of this. I know we stuck the SD card back in just to check if it was ready, but it's a very necessary step. Make sure you don't skimp out on that, because if it's not ready and you try and do this next step, it could mess stuff up. Obviously it won't work, so it's important that we are making sure, checking everything twice. All right, so go ahead and eject it from your computer, and you're going to want to put this back into your console like so. Let me move my keyboard out of the way. This is why I would recommend having the guide open with the video, because this next set of steps are very important, and you have to make sure that you do this with 100% accuracy, okay? Because you could mess something up, and it could mess up the whole exploit. So you're going to want to power what? You're going to want to power on your console after you put the SD card back in. Wait for it to power on, and when it powers on, it should be hovering over the little gear, or not the gear, the wrench symbol for the settings icon. As you can see, when I powered it on, it's already hovering over the little wrench symbol. So make sure that it's hovering over that and it shows that up there. If it doesn't show this right here, power off the console, repower it back on, or you might have to redo the step where you inject the ID 1. So like I said, refer back to the guide if it's not already hovering over the system settings. All right, you're gonna wanna press A to launch it, and make sure that you're following this 100% accuracy, okay? Go to data management, go to Nintendo 3DS. You're gonna wanna go to extra data. Now, make sure you do not touch any of the buttons, don't touch the screen, do not touch anything on the console. You're going to very, very carefully, this is kind of hard on the 2DS XL, so you gotta open the flap, you gotta take the SD card out. So very carefully, do not touch any of the buttons, do not touch the screen. Take the micro SD card out of the console. So you're going to want to eject it. It's going to say, no micro SD card found. Now you're going to want to set this off to the side. Be very careful, don't touch anything on the screen, don't touch the buttons like I said. We're going to put this back into the computer now. We're going to get ready to actually run this exploit and mod the console. All right, so after you've put this back into the console, you're going to want to run that script again. So run the bat file or the command file if you're on Mac, or the py file if you're on Linux. We're going to put in our console number, press enter, and now we're going to want to press 3 to inject the trigger file. So press 3, press enter, and it should say injecting trigger file, MSET9 successfully injected, press enter to exit. So go ahead and press enter. It's going to exit out of that window. Now we can eject this from the computer. Go ahead and eject it. We're going to put this back into the console. Very carefully put this back in without touching any buttons, without touching the screen. It's a little difficult, but I believe in you. Oh gosh, I hate this stupid flap for this console. This flap sucks. All right, put it back in, and you should see a little loading, and then it should launch directly into the MSET9, the Safe B9 installer. So this is the Safe Bootstrap 9 installer. Bootstrap 9 is the custom firmware that we're running here. All right, so it's going to say all input files verified. To install firm, enter the sequence below or press B to cancel. So we're going to put the sequence here on screen. It's going to be left, down, right, up, A for me. And now it's going to do a backup of your firmware just to make sure that, you know, nothing gets messed up, right? Alright, so once it is done, it should say sig hacks firm install success. Press A to continue. This is going to reboot your console. Now it's going to pop up in the Luma 3DS menu. So this is a configuration menu right here that you can use to configure some options for the purpose of this guide. And it also says this on the actual website itself. We're not going to be touching any of these in here. However, you might have to adjust these settings if you're using like an emulator, or certain applications might need you to change some settings in here. But like I said, we're not going to worry about that. Just navigate over to save and exit. Right? So you can either press start, or you can just use your arrow keys to go down to save and exit and press A. And this is going to restart the console. All right, so once it restarts, we're going to go ahead and power the console off. And then we're going to take the micro SD card back out and we're going to put it back into the computer. And the reason we're doing this is we need to remove these trigger files for the exploit because they can cause issues later. So if you don't remove these, the guide literally tells you to do this. This is a required step. It could mess stuff up. It could cause things to crash. So once you've inserted this back on your computer, run the either the bat file, the command file, the py file, put in your console number, press enter, and now we're going to press 4 to remove the trigger file. Okay, it's going to say remove trigger file. Now we're going to press 5 to remove MSET9. It should say successfully removed MSET9. And now we're going to press enter to completely exit out of that. I do apologize for the vacuum in the background if you can't hear it. My mom is doing something right now. So now that we've done that, you have successfully modded your 3DS. But we are not done yet. There are still a few things that we need to do in order to get this thing running. So before you power on your console, make sure you're going to need to download 2 separate files. So before we even put the SD card back into the console, we're going to want to install 2 files that are going to help us install some very useful homebrew applications for this 3DS right here. So refer to the guide. It's going to have 2 links on the finalizing step page, which I will show right now. So if you get to the very end of the installing Bootstrap 9 page right here that I leave a link to in the description below, it's going to have this section right here called continue to finalizing setup. You're going to want to click this and you're going to want to download these 2 files right here. You're going to need the finalize helper.firm right there, and you're going to need the finalize.romfs. These are 2 scripts that we're going to run to install some very useful applications for our device. All right, so after you've downloaded these 2 files right here and put them somewhere safe, go ahead and copy the finalize.romfs file. This is going to go onto the root of the SD card. If you don't know what I mean by the root of your SD card, this is the root of the SD card right here. I can't go back any other folder. This is the base, like, I guess, folder you could say. If I'm in the Bootstrap 9 folder, for instance, this is not the root. If I press the back button and go to the main page, this is the root. So basically just put it on the SD card, not in a folder or anything. Just drag and drop it on there like this. Now you're going to want to grab the xfinalize_helper.firm file, and we're going to go into the Luma folder, go to payloads, and you're going to want to click and drag this over to this folder. So you should have the xfinalize_helper.firm file in the Luma payloads folder, and then the finalize.romfs should be on the root of the SD card. After you've done that, we can go ahead and eject the SD card from the computer, and we can stick this back into the console. All right, so go ahead and stick the micro SD or SD card back into your console. So after you reinsert your micro SD into the console, after you put those 2 files on the micro SD card, you're going to want to put in a key combination right here. So you're going to want to press and hold left shoulder, like so. We're going to press D-pad down and select at the same time. This is going to open the Rosalina menu. Now, we're going to need to do a couple of things in here. So first off, we're going to want to go all the way down to miscellaneous options. Press A. You're going to want to go to dump DSP firmware. This is going to dump the sound firmware. This is necessary for certain homebrew applications to work. Press A on that. All right, it should show a black screen, and then it'll eventually go to this miscellaneous option menu. DSP firm successfully written to this. Okay, press B to go back, and now we're going to go to nullify user time offset. Press A on that. It's going to say operation succeeded. Please reboot to finalize the changes. So now we're going to fully exit out of that. Now we're going to power off the console. All right, so once it's fully powered off, press and hold X and then press the power button. And it's gonna launch the God Mode 9 initialization menu right here. So, and when you want to launch God Mode 9, which I'll cover this later as well, you want to press and hold start and the power button. But for this, you want to press and hold X and the power button, because this is going to run that the payload and whatnot. Those two files is going to install all of our software that we're going to need on this console. Now you can skip this step entirely and just manually install this hardware yourself. I would recommend just doing it like this. So it's going to say essential files backup not found, create one now. We're going to press A for yes. It's going to say backup embedded in sysnan and written to gm9 out. Make note of this folder because it'll be important later if you want to dump your game cartridges and export them to other places. Say if you want to put it on another console, for instance. So we're going to press A to continue. It's going to say RTC time and date and time seems to be wrong. Do you want to set it now? You're going to press A for yes. And you're going to want to set this to whatever time it is. So press A to continue. And now we're left on this screen. So press the home button. You're going to want to navigate over to scripts right here. It's the middle option. Press A. And the only script right here is the finalized script. So just press A. This is going to install a bunch of software that we're going to need for later. If you want the full list of software that's going to install, please refer to the guide. I'll list everything off right now. This is going to install FBI, which is essential, Homebrew Launcher Loader, which is essential, Anemone 3DS, which is a theming tool, Checkpoint, which is a save game manager, FTPD, which allows you to FTP into the console wirelessly while the console is still on if you wanted to transfer files without taking the SD card out, a Universal Updater, which is a Homebrew downloader and updater, and God Mode 9, which is very important for certain steps such as loading games, dumping games, stuff like that. Okay, so say this script may take up to 15 minutes to complete. So you're going to press A, and it's going to say writing to sysnan level 1 is locked. You're going to want to press A to unlock it and put in the key combo that it tells you to do. All right, so now it's going to do this, and this will take a little bit of while. This will take a little bit of while. What? This will take a little while. So if you're curious for exactly how long this modding process will take you, it'll probably take you anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour at the latest. It shouldn't run longer than an hour, so it's pretty short, I would say. It's not super long. It could go faster if you memorized all of the steps, obviously. So once the setup is done right here, it'll say setup complete. And basically it's going to say setup complete, press A to continue. And now it should power off your console. Now, if you power the console back on, your console is now fully modded. It has all of the essential software that you're going to need for various homebrew stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Your console shouldn't look any different, but you will see some new software appear on your home menu. As you see, software has been added to your home menu. So if we scroll over here, everything's wrapped up. We can unwrap all of this. So that is Anemone, Homebrew Launcher, FTPD, FBI, Checkpoint, and Universal Updater. So I'm going to make a new folder just to kind of organize all this stuff, and we're going to rename this to Homebrew, and I'm just going to drag and drop all of these files in here. You don't have to do this. This is just something I like to do just to keep everything organized. I'm going to be showing you guys how to install another application that is extremely useful that you're going to want because it allows you to load games pretty easily. So we're going to go through that right now. So after you've done everything, we're going to install something called the hShop. Now, what is the hShop? Well, if you guys don't know, the eShop for the 3DS, 2DS consoles shut down a couple of years ago, meaning you cannot access it at all. All the content that was on the eShop is gone. So if you want to access that, you're going to have to download an external software called hShop. Now, hShop basically is a complete dump of the entire eShop. So you can download pretty much everything that was on the eShop for free. So it's very nice if you want to play games that were exclusive to the eShop, like the virtual console games. If you want themes for your console and you don't want to use Anemone, which Anemone is a custom theme manager, but if you wanted to use the actual themes, the official themes for this console, you can download stuff like that. If you need to download title updates, you can do that. If you want to download DLC, you can do that. So I'm going to show you how to install that very quickly. So out of all of the software that we installed, we're going to be using this spinning FBI block right here. So you're going to want to open this. All right. And now you're going to be greeted with this menu. You're going to want to go all the way to the bottom to where it says remote install, press A. It's going to ask you, it's going to show you a couple different options. Go ahead and click on scan QR code. Now you're going to aim your console at your computer or your phone. You can do this from your phone as well. You just have to scan the QR code, okay? So after that scans, it's going to ask you if you want to download the 3HS CIA. You're going to press yes. All right, it's going to say install finished. Now we can quit out of FBI as we don't need it anymore. It's going to say new software has been added, okay? And really quick, I'm just going to close that because we don't need FBI open anymore. And now we can unwrap this. And boom, the hShop. So I'm going to show you guys how to use this really quickly. This is the easiest way to be able to add games and stuff, like I said earlier. It's a very easy to use. You just simply launch into it. It's going to show you a couple of useful information right here. It's going to show you your SD card, how much you have left on the SD card right there. Show you your battery percentage and stuff. It's going to show you the time. Obviously that's wrong. I need to reset the time either way. So we have a couple of different menus and stuff that we can navigate to here. So the first menu here is the games menu. This is where you're going to find all of the games that were on the hShop. These are just normal 3DS games. So you can head to whatever region that you want to use. I'm going to use North America. And from here, you'll be able to browse all of the North American 3DS games. So say I wanted Disney Epic Mickey Power of Illusion. There's a couple things you can do here. You can press A. It's going to open this menu, and you can press A to install it. Or if you want to install multiple things at one time, you can, if you're hovering over this on the main page right here, and you press Y, this is going to add it to your queue. So if you go to your queue down here, let's say I wanted to do that, and wanted to also install Disney Planes, for instance. After you add both of them to your queue, you can go to your queue. It's going to show you both of the games like so. And you can press install all, or you can press X to delete them from your queue if you didn't want to install them. Okay, so there's games. There's also updates. So if you're looking for a specific update for a game, you can search through here. There's DLC. Virtual console is like all of the Game Boy and like NES, like all of the virtual emulators that Nintendo had on the hShop. DSiWare is all the DSiWare. Videos, just videos you could download from the eShop. Extras, which we have some dev apps, homebrews, ROM hacks. So you can explore that if you will. And then themes. This is all of the official themes that were ever on the hShop, or the eShop, I should say. And you can go through here, download your themes and stuff. So fairly easy to use, very useful application. I'm sad that this doesn't come pre-bundled with the modding guide. It's kind of annoying to have to manually download this, but that's okay. The first thing I'm going to be showing you guys is how to theme your 3DS. So if you want a custom theme, this one is using an actual theme right here, but I'm going to show you guys how to install a custom theme. So first off, you're going to want to head to a website. I'll also leave this in the link in the description below. You're going to want to go to this website called themeplaza.art, and this website will allow you to install custom themes using the Anemone 3DS application. So find a theme that you want. Usually what I like to do is go up to this menu right here, click most downloaded, and then you can see all of the most downloaded themes on the website. So these are usually kind of the best themes that you can get. So if you want a Mario one, there's a Better Call Saul one, some Pokemon ones, some other kind of cool ones, the Legend of Zelda one, a Rayquaza one, which is pretty cool. Epic Rick and Morty theme. For this, I'm just going to install this Primal Groudon theme. So this is like the Pokemon Omega Ruby theme, I guess you could say. And you're going to want to hover over this, and you can do this on your phone as well, because you're not actually downloading anything on your device. You're just going to scan this QR code with Anemone. So make sure you're hovering over this. If it doesn't appear for you like this, just click on it and hover over this image, or tap on this image if you're on a mobile device. It should show you the QR code either way. Now on your 3DS, you're going to want to open the Anemone app right here. So open this. Okay, it might take a little bit of time to start up. Usually it doesn't take that long to start up, but it's all right. It's going to tell you to press R to download from QR code. So press the right bumper. It's going to load the QR code scanner. Then just go ahead and aim your console up at the QR code and scan it. So same thing that we did with the FBI app, pretty much, just with the Anemone app. You can't use this to install apps and stuff. You can only use this to install themes. So if you want to install apps from QR codes, use the FBI app. Right, so it's going to download the theme. This will take a couple of seconds. Alright, so now it's going to show up Pokemon Primal Groudon. So if you want to install this theme, press A. You're going to want to press up for normal install, and it's going to be good like so. Older versions of Anemone, like on this 2DS XL right here that I have, this is my personal one, since I modded this thing way back in the day. This is pretty old. I haven't updated anything on this thing, so the Anemone on this requires you to press and hold right bumper and then press up on the D-pad and then release the bumper. So if it requires you to do that, that's how you do it. You just press and hold that, and then release that. But the newer version in Anemone, it doesn't require you to do that. You just have to press it once, then press that. So I'm just saying that just in case it's like that for you. All right, but if you followed this guide to a T, it shouldn't be like that for you. Okay. So now that it installed, we can press start to exit out, and it's going to say all this. It's basically going to say, it's going to act like you want to turn off the console. You're going to want to power off the console. So whenever you install a theme on your 3DS, you're going to want to make sure that this thing fully restarts. Otherwise, it might not work properly. It might glitch out. I've had issues with my own 2DS XL. I installed a theme. I didn't actually let it restart. I just went back to the home menu, and it kind of soft bricked the console for me. I had to do a bunch of extra crap to try and get the console back and working. So it was not fun. So make sure you restart your console. As you can see, we have our custom theme right here. There's music and stuff. So you can install a bunch of themes. You can also install themes using the hShop if you want an official eShop theme. But that's how you install themes. Very simple, very easy. Next thing I'm going to be showing you guys how to do is how to dump your game cartridges and how to install a game cartridge directly to the console. So first, before we power off our console, in order to dump a game cartridge, you're going to need the game cartridge, obviously. Next off, you're going to want to open the flap or whatever, and you're going to want to insert this into the console, like so. That's the wrong way. That's the wrong way. Which way is the right way? Who knows? Alright, so you're going to want to insert that. As you can see, we're going to be using Tomodachi Life as an example. So make sure the console actually detects it in the game cartridge. I've had issues if you power off your console and then put it in. I've had issues with that. So make sure your console's powered on, insert it into the console, make sure it actually registers. So it actually reads it. Now we're going to power off the console. Okay, so now we're going to launch into God Mode 9. So you're going to want to press and hold the start button. So this is similar to earlier when we were running the finalization script, when we press and held X and push the power button. But instead now, from now on, if you ever want to launch into God Mode 9 again, press and hold the start button and then press the power button. This is going to load into God Mode 9. Like I said, for some reason, God Mode 9, at least on this console, is running at a very low brightness. I don't know why. So that's kind of weird, but whatever. So in order to dump your game cartridge, you're going to want to navigate over to the option that says Game Cart on your screen. You're going to want to press A on that. And just press A on it once. Give it a second to load. It might take a little bit of time to load. And now you're going to see a couple of different options here. All right, you can see my face now. Hello. So we have a couple of different options here. So this is Tomodachi Life. We're going to see a priv.bin, a .3ds, a .save, which is the save file, a .trim.3ds, and a txt file. For specifically 3DS games, you can either dump this 3ds file or the trim.3ds file. It doesn't really matter. The trim.3ds file is smaller, so I would recommend going with that. It's usually going to be smaller. It's going to take up less space on the SD card. So if you want to dump this thing, keep in mind if you're doing this with a DS game, because you can do it with DS games as well. You can also dump DS games. You just can't install DS games directly to a 3DS or 2DS because they're not directly installable. You have to use an external piece of software to emulate it pretty much, or use it as like a separate menu. So for instance, Twilight Menu ++, which if you guys want a Twilight Menu tutorial, let me know down in the description. Let me know down in the comments below. You're going to want to press A on the trim.3ds, or if you're doing a DS, just do the normal.ds. If you use the trim.ds, it won't work. Like it'll be very buggy. It'll probably crash and stuff if you try to run that. So DS games only use the .ds file. Do not use the .trim file. For 3DS games, you can use either. So I'm going to use the .trim. I'm going to press A on this. And you can see when we press A, it's going to show Tomodachi Life, and it's going to give you some options down here. So if you want to install this directly to your console, you're going to want to see where it says NCSD image options. Press A on that. you're going to go down to install game image. This is going to fully install this to your console. This is also kind of how you install games on your console directly if you have the files instead, but I'll show you how to do that in a minute. If you wanted to instead dump this game cartridge to the SD card, that way you can transfer it to another console or transfer it to your computer. If you wanted to use it in like an emulator, you can go all the way down and go to copy to 0:/GM9/out. So you press A on that, it's going to copy the entire game cart to the SD card, and this will allow you to basically be able to use it on anything that can use a 3DS game. So if you want to use this on an emulator, you can. So something like Citra, you can use this on the Citra emulator. If you wanted to, for instance, put this on just another console, you could. However, if you dump your game carts and share them on the internet, that is considered piracy. I do not condone that. So do not dump your game cartridges and distribute them to other people. That is illegal. So keep that in mind. But if you're just doing this for yourself, if you just want to use this on an emulator, for instance, it is completely legal to do that. You own the game cartridge. This is your game. You you paid for it, you purchased it. You're allowed to do whatever you want with it as long as you're not selling it or distributing it to other people. Also, this will take a little bit of time. This will take around, depending on the size of the game, this game is about 400 megs, so this will take about 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, so once that is done, it'll say it is copied to GM9 out, press A to continue, and then you're going to go back to the screen. So if you wanted to access this, you can put this SD card into your computer, navigate to the GM9 folder, navigate to the out folder, and it should be in that folder. Also, you can rename it if you wanted to. As you can see, the file name is just a random string of numbers. I would recommend renaming this if you're going to use this like on an emulator. That way you can just identify it easier. Alrighty, so now I'm going to show you how you can actually load games onto this thing if you don't have the game cart, but you have the game files. So if you don't want to use the hShop, which is the easiest way, there are a couple different methods you can do. So if you want to exit the God Mode 9 menu, you can either press start to reboot, or you can press right bumper and start to power off the console. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to press and hold right bumper, then press the start button, and it's going to completely power off the console. So if you want to load games up directly from like your computer, for instance, if you just have the base game files instead of the actual game cart, which like I said, I do not condone piracy. I'm not going to tell you guys how to get these game files yourself. I can't do that. So if there's anyone in the comments below that's like, yo, where do I go to download 3DS games? I ain't gonna tell you, buddy. You gotta find that out yourself. Google is a very handy tool, okay? It'll give you everything you need. All you gotta do is type it in, okay? But I do not condone piracy. Please do not commit piracy. That is illegal. So before we cover that though, I just want to show you guys a really interesting bug. If you don't set your date and time correctly, it'll bug out the time. As you can see, it says 10/28/2037. Yeah, we're not in that year yet. Maybe by the time some of you are watching this, it might be 2037. I don't know. If you're from 2037, let me know. But in order to load games up, there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. So first, what I like to do is I like to create a new folder, and we're going to call this 3DS games. All right. So now that you made a new folder, you don't have to make a new folder. I would recommend making a new folder just because it's better for organization. Locate wherever you store your games. You can see I have a ROMs folder here, and we're going to be installing Animal Crossing New Leaf as an example. And then we're also going to be installing Super Mario Maker 3DS. So 3DS games come in two different types of file formats that you can actually install to your console. You can either have the .3ds file or the .cia file, and there are different methods of installation for both. So we're going to copy both of these over to this 3DS games folder, and I'm going to show you guys how to install both of these types of files. Also, for later information, if you're trying to put a game on here that is bigger than 4 gigs, you cannot put anything bigger than 4 gigs on a FAT32 formatted drive. So you're going to need to use something like a 3DS game trimmer. I'm not going to show you guys how to do that in this video, but if you guys are having issues with that, let me know down in the comments and I can help you guys out. But after you transfer the games over, we can go ahead and eject this from the computer. So in order to install, I'm going to show you guys how to install the .3ds files, and then after that, I'm going to show you guys how to install .cia files. So in order to install .3ds files, you're going to want to launch back into God Mode 9. So press and hold start, and press the power button. We're going to launch back into the God Mode 9 menu. And from here, you're going to want to navigate over to, it should be the first option right here, SD card. Press A on this, then navigate to the 3DS games folder that we made right here. This is why I'd recommend making a separate folder for this. Open this, and we're going to see our .3ds file right here. So this should say Animal Crossing, as you can see, Animal Crossing New Leaf.3ds. And you also see the CIA file here, but you can't install it using God Mode 9. We have to use something else. But for the 3DS file, it's as simple as pressing A on it when it's highlighted. And then on this screen right here, go to NCSD Image Options, click Install Game Image, and it will install it to the console. It is as simple as that. And then once you're done, you can also press X. Sorry, X, not Y. And it's going to ask you if you want to delete this. So after you've installed the game to the console, if you don't want this .3ds file on your SD card anymore because it just takes up extra space, you don't have to have it on your console after you've installed it. You can press X and delete it like so. And then it will tell you that a new software has been installed, and it'll show a little GIF wrap image. I didn't install it just for the sake of the video to kind of speed things up here. Alright, so now to install .cia files, you're going to want to navigate over to wherever you have your homebrew apps. I have it in this folder. You want to go back to the FBI file, or the FBI app. Kind of ironic, FBI, use it to install CIA. Yeah, you get the point. Anyways, on this menu, you're going to want to click on the SD. So press A on SD on the very top. Navigate over to your 3DS games folder. And you're going to want to navigate over to your CIA file. On FBI, you cannot install .3ds files, you have to use God Mode 9. Okay, and from here you can press A, install CIA, or you can press install and delete CIA, and it will install the game and it'll delete the CIA file after. That way it's not taking up extra space. Like I said, you don't need the CIA file after it's installed to the console, as it'll just take up extra space, you don't need it. So you can do install and delete CIA, it'll install the game, and it'll also delete the CIA. You can also just delete it, rename it, copy paste it, stuff like that. So FBI is also a very handy file browser for your console. If you want to transfer files and stuff over, you can use this. You can also use God Mode 9 if you want, but this is easier since you just have to turn on the console. And I like the interface a little bit better on the FBI app. However, I am going to mention this. From my experience, .3ds files, when installed using God Mode 9, seem to install about 10 to 20% faster than a .cia files in the FBI app. So usually for like a 100 or 500 or like about a 500 gig what? For a 500 megabyte game in God Mode 9 will usually take around 3 to 5 minutes. In the FBI app, it'll take anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. So this is in my experience, okay? Some people might have, might say otherwise, right? But in my experience, .3ds files seem to install faster. That's why I prefer using God Mode 9 to install .3ds files instead of using this to install CIA files. If you wanted to make a CIA file out of a 3ds file, you can use God Mode 9. It'll allow you to do that. But like I said, I'd recommend just using the .3ds files, using God Mode 9 to install them. It seems to install them, like I said, about 10 to 20% faster. Other than that, though, if you guys have any other questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. Shout out D-Town once again for allowing me to mod your console. I'm going to get all of your games loaded up that you wanted. If you guys want me to mod your console instead of going through this process yourself, hit up my Instagram. I charge a pretty reasonable price to do this. I'm charging this guy $35 to mod the console. That includes the 64 gig micro SD card. I would say that's a pretty reasonable price. It's paying about $10-ish for the SD card, and around $25 for the actual modding process, which loading the games and stuff up is what's going to be taking the longest. So if you want to load a bunch of games on these things, you have to manually install all of the games, right? That takes a while. It takes 3 to 5 minutes for every single game. If it's a game that's like 1 gig or bigger, it can take up to 10 minutes, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you guys want the modding service done, hit me up on my Instagram. we can negotiate something out. I also do console repairs and stuff like that. Like I said, if you have any questions about this process, leave them down in the comments below. Other than that, though, if you found this guide helpful, leave a like on the video. And if you want to see more content like this, I also just post random gaming content on my channel as well. Hit that subscribe button. Also want to give a quick shout out to our channel member, the good guy Chris. Thank you for being a channel member. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you guys want to become a channel member, you guys get access to exclusive members only content, as well as early access to every single YouTube video. YouTube members can usually see my YouTube videos either an hour or a full day or two before it actually goes live. So if you want early access to all my YouTube videos, check out the link in the description below. It'll take you to my channel membership. It's $2 a month, so fairly cheap, I would say. If you guys want to support me, that is one of the easiest ways to support me. But the easiest way of supporting me is just by watching this whole video. And I gotta say, if you watch this thing to the very end, thank you. Other than that, though, see you guys in the next one. Let me know what console you want to see me mod down in the comments below.